I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. I'm here at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas, and I'm joined by Amir Rozwadowski. He is Senior Vice President of Finance and Investor Relations at AT&T. Amir, it is wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me today on Floor Talk.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for coming down to Texas.
Oh, it's amazing to be here in Texas.
Great.
So now, Amir, over the past few years, you've reorganized the company around what most consider your core competency, which is connectivity. Why is now the right time to get back to your core DNA? And what do you see in the future for connectivity demand and AT&T's opportunity?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because obviously there's been a lot of change at AT&T over the last couple of years. But ultimately, what we decided is, look, we're at the golden age of connectivity coming up right now. I mean, what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Check your phone. What's the last thing that you do before you go to bed at night? Check your phone. We power all of that. And so if you start to think about the needs of connectivity and what's going to happen over the next several years, if not decades, and that's before we start to get all these new great applications that people are working on for a 5G enabled world and AR, VR, what's going to happen down the line. And so from our perspective, really investing in core infrastructure in the future of the digital economy is the right time for us. And as you know, AT&T is a 140-year brand, and we focused on a lot of transitions when it comes to connectivity. So from our perspective, given what we're seeing in data traffic growth, right now is the time for us to focus on that.
Okay. Now, tell me, what differentiates your approach, and why do you think you have the right strategy in place?
You know, it's a great question, because I suspect that there's a lot of folks telling you where their approach is the best. And I think for us, it's really focusing on best-in-class technology. And what does that mean? 5G and fiber. Why is that the case? Because 5G is going to be the future of mobile connectivity, right? And what we're talking about right now for 5G is we're just at the onset of what this technology is going to provide in the coming years. Really, we're supporting data traffic growth. And look, data traffic growth on our network is 40% year over year. So you can imagine if you extrapolate that over the next 2, 3, 5 years, the kind of data boom that's going to support. And so from our perspective, making sure that you have the underpinnings of the right technology for mobility is really important. But at the same time, as you know, people are using more data at home than they ever have, whether it's streaming your favorite video, whether it's Zooming work conversations, whether it's the fitness app that you're now playing at home. Ultimately, that is a really important element, and fiber is best-in-class technology. I would argue, go find anyone who has a technology background, they would tell you that fiber is really where it's at. So for our perspective, it's really about merging those two and really providing that to the American public, that best-in-class technology going forward.
Now, you have been investing significantly in fiber. Tell us a bit more about how fiber fits into your overall strategy.
You know, it's a great question, right? Because there's a lot of folks out there that will discuss why they think their technology is the best. But for us, it's really about fueling the foundation for AT&T, not for just the next 1 to 2 years, but the next several decades. If you think about fiber's ability to provide connectivity, it's second to none. When you look at other competitive technologies that are available, really fiber is best in class. Also, it's really great in terms of being able to manage that network and manage that technology. It's lower cost to manage. It has a significantly lower footprint when it comes to energy costs, which is an important element for us going forward. And really, we're all about making sure that we can provide the American public with best-in-class infrastructure. Really, when you start to think about what's going to happen when it comes to broadband infrastructure, I mean, there's close to $50 billion of government stimulus via the BEAD program that's coming to market in the next couple of years. And so when you start to think about things like closing the digital divide, when you start to think about the importance that digital infrastructure will have in the digital economy going forward, really, don't you want to make sure that you've got the best-in-class access technology available to the American public? And that's where we're placing our strategy on right now.
All right, and finally, Amir, tell me, what's your recipe for value creation for investors?
That's a great question. And look, I think it all starts off with making sure that you're investing in the best technology. I mean, we've re-architected this company so that we have the capital structure in place to significantly invest in American infrastructure. The second is making sure that we have the capital availability to pay a competitive dividend, or its credit profile only improves over time. So what does that mean? You're getting a great dividend yield on our stock at the moment, and ultimately, as we generate more and more cash, the structure of that dividend or the attractiveness of that dividend only increases over time. And the last element is really about driving healthy profit growth over time. And what does that mean? Well, what that means right now is growing our customer base, attracting them to our network, and keeping them on our network over multiple years. And really, it's about that value proposition. It starts with the investment that we're doing going forward. And so what we believe is that as we invest in the American public, as we continue to build out our customers on these great technologies, for the time being, you get a great dividend. Over time, you get increasing value attribution through that earnings growth. And really, that's how we're architecting our strategy going forward.
All right, Amir, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Well, thanks very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.